The origin of black-skinned people is a very fascinating topic. We can say with certainty that in the Bible, there were characters with dark skin. However, the Bible does not specifically identify any black-skinned people. The Bible also does not specifically identify any white-skinned people. The color of a person's skin is rarely mentioned in the Bible. Skin color has no meaning for the basic message of the Bible, since for God there is no respecter of persons. He loves us all regardless of the color of our skin. Before God, we are all equal. So with this in mind, let's look at where dark-skinned people come from according to the Bible. Before delving into this topic, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and activate the notification bell so that YouTube notifies you every time we publish a new video. Let's get started. In Acts chapter 17, verse 26, it says, "And from one blood he made every nation of men, that they might dwell on all the face of the earth." With this verse, we understand that all the people in the world come from one blood, which is why we all become a family, so we never discriminate against anyone because of their skin color. Now, the history of humanity begins in the Garden of Eden. That is where our parents Adam and Eve lived. After Adam and Eve disobeyed God, they were taken out of the Garden of Eden. The children of Adam and Eve begin to populate the earth. Approximately a little more than 1,000 years later, we reach the flood, where all humanity died. Only Noah and his family were saved by God. After the flood, Noah's family was responsible for filling the earth again. Noah's family was made up of his wife and his 3 sons, Sem, Cam, and Japheth, with their respective wives. Now, to identify where dark-skinned people come from, let's go to Genesis chapter 10. In this chapter, we find the genealogies of families, which constitute the origin of the nations of the world, which originated from Noah's 3 sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. Of these 3 brothers, we will focus only on one, Cam. In Genesis chapter 10, verse 6, we see that Ham had 4 sons, Kush, Mizraim, Put, and Canaan. Of these sons of Ham, let's focus on Kush. The biblical story says that Kush had 6 sons, who are Seba, Havilah, Sabta, Rama, Sabteka, and Nimrod. In Genesis chapter 10, verse 32, we are given to understand that Kush and his descendants appear among those of whom it is said that the nations were scattered over the earth after the flood. Biblical scholars say that Kush was the primary ancestor, perhaps along with his brother Put, of the black-skinned people, which is evident from the areas in which some of his descendants settled. And this refutes some racists who mistakenly try to apply to black people the curse that Noah placed on Canaan, who was the brother of Kush. Since if we see from Canaan, no descendant of the black race came, but he was the ancestor of the various Canaanite tribes of Palestine. According to some biblical scholars, they say that Nimrod, who was the son of Kush, was the one who built the Tower of Babel. The biblical story says that Nimrod was the first powerful person on earth. Scholars affirm that Nimrod, being the son of Kush, was a strong, black-skinned man who became a great hunter. It was he who gathered the people and organized them to face the beasts. As alluded to in Genesis chapter 10, verses 8 and 9, this man was a mighty hunter before the Lord. In other words, Nimrod's name was known everywhere for his great strength. Many figurines and engravings of Nimrod dating back hundreds of years have been found, and all confirm the black characteristics of him. Now, when the people were dispersed at the Tower of Babel, most of Cush's descendants apparently migrated southward. It is not known for certain whether they reached Africa by crossing the Arabian Peninsula and subsequently crossing the Bab el-Mandeb Strait, or whether they initially settled in Africa and later moved to Arabia. Studies say that Kush and his descendants lived in Nubia, southern Egypt, and southern and western Arabia, land of the Kushites, generally called Ethiopia. In Numbers chapter 12, we see that Miriam and Aaron spoke against Moses because of his wife, because she was a Kushite. These racist attitudes were condemned by God. Biblical scholars say that Moses' wife was black-skinned, which is why Miriam and Aaron murmured against her. Another woman we find in the Bible with dark skin is the Queen of Sheba, who visited King Solomon to hear his wisdom. According to tradition, she was a very intelligent woman, very powerful, very beautiful, and ruled during the 10th century BC over a very extensive territory, the kingdom of Saba, modern Ethiopia, and Yemen. Now in Jeremiah chapter 13 verse 23 it says, "Will the Ethiopian change his skin and the leopard his spots? Likewise, can you do good, being accustomed to doing evil?" In this verse, God declares that the people were so hardened in their wickedness that there was no hope of their repentance, which is why the prophet uses the comparison. Can the Ethiopian change his skin? In other versions, he says this way, "Will the black man change his skin and the leopard his spots?" With these verses, we can see that Kush is the main ancestor of dark-skinned people. In the Old Testament, the blacks are called Kushites, or sons of Kush. Their territory is located south of Egypt and corresponds more or less to the current Sudan. This land received numerous names. Egyptian texts designated it with the generic term Kush, while Greek and Roman historians baptized it Ethiopia, alluding to the fact that its inhabitants had faces burned by the sun. For this reason, dark-skinned people are historically from the land of Kush, later also known as Nubia. Nubia was always politically and militarily related and often allied with Egypt. In the year 747 BC, the Kushites conquered Egypt and founded a new dynasty, the 25th dynasty, which was made up of the Black Pharaohs. The Black Pharaohs reigned for approximately almost a century. This Black dynasty played an important role, allowing Egypt to experience a final period of glory. Finally, the dynasty of Black Pharaohs was defeated by the Assyrian Empire. For this reason, the Black Pharaohs returned to their Nubian homeland, which is today Sudan, and there they continued as rulers of an empire, the Empire of Kush, which lasted 1,200 years. A curious fact, the Bible mentions the name Tirhaka, or Taharko, the last Black Pharaoh. This pharaoh helped King Hezekiah when Sennacherib, king of Assyria, attacked Jerusalem. We find this in the second book of Kings, chapter 19, verse 9. Now in Isaiah chapter 18, we see that the Kushites or Ethiopians were brave warriors. Isaiah says that they were people of tall stature and lustrous skin, a people who had always been feared, a vigorous nation. The historian Herodotus said that the Ethiopians are the tallest and most beautiful of men. The Israelites thought they were closer to God because of their cultural and biological heritage. For this reason, the prophet Amos reminded them that they have no privilege before Jehovah, and that they are of equal value to the Kushites. Let's read Amos chapter 9, verse 7. "Children of Israel, are you not to me like children of Ethiopians, says the Lord?" Nowadays, the Kushites are a group of ethnic groups of the Afro-Asiatic branch, the same to which Semites and Berbers belong, located in the Horn of Africa, Ethiopia, Eritrea, and Somalia, and part of the Sudanese coast of the Red Sea, which are characterized by speaking Cushitic languages. And as an additional note, other references to Africa appear in the Bible, in addition to the land of Kush, for example, Cyrene, Libya, and Egypt. But not everyone agrees that these terms should be applied to blacks, because they say that these are African regions with a white population. In this regard, an important clarification must be made. Lately, there has been a lot of discussion, for example, about the race of the ancient Egyptians. According to the biblical story, the Egyptians have the same root as the Kushites, since they are also descendants of Ham. Despite that, studies have long claimed that Egyptians were unquestionably white, however, Other studies have claimed that Egyptians were black. The truth appears to be more one-sided than these two extreme positions suggest. A renowned Egyptologist says that the texts and images that the Egyptians have left us speak unquestionably of a multiracial society. In fact, Egypt is a border area between Africa and the Middle East. For this reason, it was the protagonist of a racial mixture that lasted for centuries. Dear listener, throughout history and even today, people with black skin suffer terrible discrimination. We all remember Martin Luther King. He became the most visible spokesman and leader of the civil rights movement from 1955 until his assassination in 1968. Although Dr. Martin Luther King was assassinated, his legacy endures to this day. One of the most extraordinary speeches that this great man of God left us was, "I have a dream. I have a dream that one day this nation will rise and live the true meaning of its creed. We believe these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal. I have a dream that one day in the red hills of Georgia, the children of former slaves and the children of former slave owners will be able to sit together at the table of brotherhood. I have a dream that one day even the state of Mississippi, a desert state, sweltering in the heat of injustice and oppression, will be transformed into an oasis of freedom and justice. I have a dream that my 4 little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. I have a dream today. I have a dream that one day, down in Alabama, with its ruthless racists, with a governor whose lips drip with the words of interposition and nullification. One day, right there in Alabama, little black boys and little black girls will be able to join hands with little white boys and white girls as brothers and sisters. I have a dream today. I have a dream that one day every valley will be exalted, every hill and mountain will be lowered, the steep places will be leveled, and the crooked places will be made straight, and that the glory of the Lord will be revealed, and all flesh will see it in unison. This is our hope. This is the faith with which I will return to the south. With this faith, we will be able to carve a stone of hope into the mountain of despair. With this faith, we will be able to transform the discordances of our nation into a beautiful symphony of brotherhood. With this faith, we will be able to work together, to pray together, to fight together, to go to prison together, to fight for our freedom together, with the certainty that one day we will be free. Dear ones, the color of the skin is not as important to God as the condition of the heart. The gospel is universal good news. Blacks, whites, and all shades in between are invited to come to Christ for salvation. By the grace of God, we can take our eyes off the skin and focus on the soul. And so we come to the end of this video. Thank you for being part of our channel. God bless you and your family greatly. That's all from me, and it will be with me until the next video.